Hold on. I'll just hold. I'll hold it like this. How about that?
Sure.
I'll just,
Sure, you can hold it.
my nice pillow
Organic.
here to have
It's
our conversation.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before you hopped on for the other one, I was just about to explain what you do. But now that you're on, why don't you let anybody who's listening today what you do and how you got into it and what you did before? Honestly, I wish we could recreate the whole conversation you and I had the other day. It was so amazing. Go for it.
Well, everybody, it's been quite a career journey. My name is Drew Aversa. I am a business coach and strategy consultant, born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. But
Mhm.
prior to that, I started my career in public service, public safety. At 18 years old, I was hired on the ambulance, one of the largest ambulance companies in the United States. Right out of high school, got my EMT at 17 years old. And then from there was hired as a professional firefighter at 23 and had a wonderful career in the fire service until I had a injury that ended my career. And that was way ahead of its time. It was something that nobody could have ever predicted, especially on the career trajectory that I was on, working for Metropolitan Fire Service Agency. That the sky was the limit when you look at the promotional opportunities. You look
Of
at
course.
all the different things that you can do in a department like that, from hazardous materials to high angle rescue to all sorts of crazy cool things. I never in a million years thought that I would lose a fire service career, around 30 years old, where a lot of people are just getting hired in the fire service at that age. I started so young. So from there, it was 2010, just like it is now, right? It's just
Mhm.
crazy, although nobody understands the stock market right now, like why it's so high, because it just doesn't make sense from a common sense standpoint. But 2010, the whole economy crashed out. It was horrible. So I had this amazing career in the fire department. Own my house, the boat, the dog, the country music song, you name it,
Yeah.
and then from there it was like poof, overnight, game over. So having to transition with the injury was very difficult. At that time there were people with PhDs, master's degrees out of work, and here I was with 10 years of public safety experience, and the corporate world is like, what? So what? Like,
What
who
is
cares?
it?
What do we do with you?
Yeah.
Nice try. So I went back to school, got my bachelor's in management, did with honors, all that stuff that good kids are supposed to do, and
Yeah.
then did
What
my
society
MBA.
paints is the proper thing to do,
Yeah, the
right?
proper
Go
thing
to
to
school, get a degree, and get a good 9 to 5 job.
right, exactly. What the system and society and everything wants you to do. So,
Yeah.
and like so many entrepreneurs, I work with amazing people, and I'm so grateful for those people because they helped elevate me in executive positions. After I get my, during my MBA, I worked for a large industry trade association, worked with amazing executives, and then from there, during the MBA program, I got to travel to India, Thailand. So things that I wouldn't have done on my own, it was that being forced to get out of your comfort zone and go experience something new, experience different cultures, and go, halfway around the world. And literally, I went around the world because I flew back through Japan and whatnot. So I did the around the world deal, and opening up your mindset, your belief system, your way of thinking, your way of looking at things is so key, because today I always say, like, all the problems in America and probably Canada are solvable. It's a will of mindset. We have the resources, we have the money, we have all the things, right? So as a coach, that's one of the things I get people to really look at is like, what do you what do you want in this life, right? What's important to you? And
Hmm.
from there, if you have the resources, or if you don't, how do you acquire the resources? How do you acquire the knowledge? How do you go from point A to point B? Because I'm living proof that you can get out of a wheelchair and you can start turning your life around and work for amazing companies, work and do whatever you want. If corporate's your thing and you love corporate, there are amazing corporations out there. And it's finding your fit, it's finding your tribe of people, your group, your community. And it's just taking that action and having a clear mind, a clear heart, and moving forward. And so many people today, I think with COVID, it's such a traumatic time that people are living in, that trauma can get people stuck. It can get us stuck into this negative rut, negative thinking, negativity, instead of going, wow, there are a lot of opportunities out there. It isn't this doom and gloom thing. So how do you reinvent yourself, right? And I think
100%.
probably what we'll talk a little bit about today.
So I feel like, just listening to you right now, I'm kind of at that point right now. I had something traumatic happen when I was younger. I was a survivor, molested at age 3. And I am at that point where I could share it openly now. But your traumatic experience almost gave you a new life. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, and I would say, I mean, I had a near-death experience. When I was in Belize, I was, having a normal life, and then all of a sudden I had this crazy bacterial staph infection where they airlifted me out in the middle of the night. So I had that experience, and then when I was healing from my own traumas, not only, I had personal things earlier in life, like so many people. I also had the severe injury in 2006. We didn't talk about mental health.
Yeah.
There's a
No.
young firefighter in 2006 laying in a hospital room, scared to death about your house, your mortgage payment, your career, your identity, your future, all of these different things, and we didn't talk about it then. It just wasn't
Hmm.
something we talked about. So
Yeah.
I would say, had I had that ability to unpack that back then too, things could have accelerated, right? And it's,
Oh, of course. It's back to that saying, hindsight is 2020, right?
yeah, but it's also evolving, right? So those in healthcare leadership roles, and that's where some of the coaching I do and consulting is like, you have the ability to change the system, right? If we know the system's broken, if we know people aren't getting truth, if we know people aren't getting the seeds planted for healing, for hope, for restoration, why are we condoning a system that isn't serving humans well? And we're spending billions of dollars on this stuff, billions.
Yeah.
So
And it's crazy. And you know, this day and age, it's great is we are talking a little bit more about mental health and all that stuff. So I feel like we're kind of in this shift. And so to bring it back to my story, I feel now that I know what I know and my traumatic experience kind of resurfaced when I became a mom, I feel like my life was also reborn, but there's also been a lot of struggles, right? Navigating through what my life looks like now, because I'm just like, wow, I can look back and see how much it actually affected my relationships to business relationships, careers, and all this stuff. And it's there's days where I get a little bit anxious and I think too deep, and I'm like, I don't know how to get past the guilt of where my childhood trauma showed up in a negative way. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Because I hold on to a lot of guilt. So if you can kind of tell me where to go from there, so then people can kind of see, like, it's almost like a mini coaching session, because I feel like I want to highlight your strength. Like when we talked on Wednesday, it blew my mind, and you were so helpful. So I know there's other people who are going to watch this later on, once it's been posted, that are in the same position as me. And it's a lot of women too. We tend to hang on to stuff and not know how to let it go. So for someone who's stuck like me right now, how would you coach someone like that?
well, I'd say first, Callie, vulnerability is key, and I appreciate your vulnerability because without that, right? I always say, like, in the process of transformation, you have to admit that what you're doing isn't working.
Hmm.
It's and nobody has, and I always tell my clients, different things. I'm like, if the president of the United States has advisors, personal coaches, life coaches, consultants from economics to this to that, why would you not have a coach? And they handpick their people. They handpick the cabinet. So what you're doing by selecting a coach, or if you have challenges that might require some therapy to unpack deeper things, because coaching is really about the now and moving forward, right? It's not about analyzing. It's not about diagnosing and that. So there's a difference too, because a lot of people get confused of
Yes.
what's the difference between a coach and what's the difference between therapy. So understand both have their point, and you have to choose on your journey. I say it's like the healing journey, right? So at some point, when I had a great therapist, and then I had great coaches and great mentors and everything like that. So it's the evolution of self. And so one is recognizing that I'm not where I want to be, whether it is professionally, whether it's personally, in your relationship, your love life, financially, your career, whatever,
Right.
wherever you're at, is being honest and just having that vulnerability with yourself of like, you know what, and then looking around, because we get in this rut where we think we're the only person experiencing this because our society is closed off,
Oh,
because
it's
these are
100%.
I talk about you should not talk about. You should. So people shit all over themselves, and then it's horrible, and there's this mess, and they feel like the weight of the world is entirely upon them, and that's not true. You don't have to take it all on yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
have a coach, you have a guide, somebody that can walk through life with you and help you figure out what the right process is, what the right way
Sure.
is to get the results you
Sure.
want, because we're all evolving. We're all evolving at a different level. We all have a different perspective. And when you look at coaching or you look at mentoring, it's a different, you might have a coach in the stock market, right? I mean, somebody who's an expert, right?
100%. Like it's having almost like someone on your side that really is diving deep within your own personal issues. You may or may not even know that's there, but then they also know more in the areas that you want to grow in, so that they're almost like your cheerleader.
Yeah, that's
You
one way.
know, that's one way to look at it. Thanks, guys, for joining. For anybody who just joined recently, this is Drew Aversa. He's a business coach. I feel like you're more than just a business coach, because we dove pretty deep into our conversation about, trauma, childhood stuff, and, we can't get to a certain level of business success without dealing with some of the inner issues that maybe sometimes pop up, and we don't even recognize it as a roadblock.
I would say I'm a business coach who gets it. That's what my clients say. They're like, you get it. So, it's understanding, right, of the root, understanding philosophy, understanding the world, understanding different cultures. We're all raised in different societies and different cultures. I've traveled the world. I've worked with people from different countries. So when you look at, ideology, a powerful thing. Why do we believe what we believe? And
Yeah.
is it true? Because we're only here. You have to think about this. The human experience on average is around for 70 years. If you're healthy, on average, most humans in developed nations live about 70 years on average. So if you're midlife, you're halfway through the game.
Mm-hmm.
Are you living how you want to live? Are you living your purpose? Are you living joy? Are you feeling energy? And you know it deep inside of you. Because when we talk about trauma, we talk about these different things, energy, whatever. Everybody's got a different way of labeling it,
Mm-hmm.
into the, selling my way is the best way or this and that, because it's just truth. It's ancient wisdom. It's ancient stuff that's been around for so long. People commercialize it, they productize it, they do that. But it's helping you get to truth. It's helping you find your own truth where you feel good about who you are, where you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. Because
Mm-hmm.
good about those key things, then this thing, anxiety, worry, questioning all these different things. But if you have a clear path forward and you have steps, you can start seeing things. And I would say focus on those little micro wins every day, because our society now with social media, and we talk about this, social media can also be traumatizing, because kids we're seeing, if they're not liked, they don't get thumbs up, and people aren't waving in a chat like
It's so surface, right? There's no depth to that.
yeah, it's trauma, because these kids are being trained that your whole self-worth is based on your likes, your followers, if
Yeah.
you're an influencer on TikTok or Instagram or this and that. So they're spending so much time creating for different platforms or doing different things, that it's like, are you taking care of you, right?
Yeah.
And success is these little series of wins every day. So as a parent, it might be you love your child that day, and your child feels love and joy for that moment in time, maybe more joy than you ever had in your childhood. And that's success. That's success for that day. And
Yeah.
then you have 3 great business meetings that move to the next thing. So it's not like Elon Musk of launching the Tesla to outer space. Could you imagine if that was your whole thing of success? And you had this whole big thing of that's what success looks like. And then at the end of it, every single day you're miserable, you're sad, you're this, you're that. So what I try to encourage my clients to work on is gratitude journals every single day, micro wins every single day, and then look at the patterns, look at what you're doing, because we're creatures of comfort, right? So
Yes, 100%.
you're not doing the right steps to move your business forward, or you're going to the ice cream because it's like, oh, I had a bad meeting and I need to go self-soothe.
Emotional eating.
Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. So, and then how do you shift that pattern, right? Where you're like, no, I'm not doing that because that's not going to get me the outcome that I want. So you start having a clear roadmap in your mind of what it is you need to do and what it is you don't need to do. Once you have those two things, things start getting easier. And then letting go, right? Letting go of the past, because if the past is this story that's not true anymore in present time, what happened 2 minutes ago is 2 minutes ago. What's happening 5 minutes from now? You know, when I had my thing in Belize, right? Nobody could have ever imagined that I would be
Hi,
literally
Dar.
blowing out and fighting for my life
Mm-hmm.
with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened, right? So nothing is guaranteed even 30 seconds from now. So trying to enjoy, you know, I mean, people talk about the power of now, presence, and all that stuff. And it takes a while to understand that. But you need, you know, yes, you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy of where you're going. But if you can start enjoying now, right now in this moment in time, and if things are coming in and you don't like those things, start figuring out the better vision, right? And athletes do this all the time. What's the vision you want? How do you get the shot in the basket? How do you have success and not, oh, people, whatever. I mean, right now I could literally be going, oh, Cathy, what is your audience thinking about me? I don't care.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
who I am. If you
Yeah.
like me, great. If not, if
Yeah.
I can add value, wonderful. But it's not about being in this negative headspace. It's about knowing that, you know what, if one person's life is touched today through this conversation, that was an incredible day, because one
Yeah.
person has a family, they have children, they have loved ones, they have
The
business,
ripple effect.
ripple effect. So if you can make impact with one person in our society that wants to have 50,000 likes, if you can impact one person, understand the depth of that impact. And
Yeah.
that's what I try to help people with, you know, coaching, because it's not only if we can get you moving forward in the right direction as a business leader, entrepreneur, it's the downstream ripple effect of all the people that you're working with. When you look at a society today where 60% of workers are not engaged, literally, once you leave high school, you go to this thing called college. People get drunk. They go to fraternities,
They
sororities,
come
maybe
out with
they
large
go,
amounts of debt.
large amount of debt, and then they come out, and then the net income doesn't add up to what they think, you know, because of the debt and all the dreams and all the things and the marketing schools do to get people into school. And then they come out and they go, "Whoo, oh my gosh, I'm not happy, and I don't even know who I am."
Yeah.
So,
How to
so
create anxiety 101, right? Like,
yeah, and then they take jobs for companies that they think are amazing companies, and they get in there and they're like, I don't agree with this. Like, my values don't align with this, but it pays really well, and I
yeah.
need the job to pay that. So it's this crazy loop that people are in. It's that hamster wheel, right? Where
Yeah.
people are running around, and they're getting burned out. And we're seeing this with healthcare outcomes. We see, you know, developed nations where the cancer rates are higher than some of these countries that actually don't have as much, where people have community, they have family, they have a couple hours in the afternoon to take a nap and recharge. That's super healthy. You know, I mean, elite special forces, they take naps, you know, different things like that. So power naps, these different things to recharge. So these are things, you know, also working with the leader is changing habits, right? Changing different beliefs on, if everybody is doing things and we know it's leading to 60% of people not being engaged, why would you want to run a company like that? I wouldn't. I would want to do the complete opposite of that. I would want to say, you know what, here's a nap pod. Here's this. Here's actually healthy food. We're not going to stock our fridges with complete shit and high sugar
Well,
and
I
high.
think yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's what's so wrong about these large corporations now is, hey, let's try to squeeze every ounce of energy and production out of this one person so that they can go home to their families all drained, and then shit starts hitting the fan, and then you start getting disgruntled employees, and then that it just is such a terrible and vicious cycle. And it's terrible. It's a terrible model when you start putting profits before your people.
Well,
It's
and the work from home
I
is
don't
challenging
agree
too,
with it.
because a lot of these companies now with the work from home, they track employees, right? So every keystroke is tracked. Every time you turn on the computer, I mean, the digital surveillance is massive today. So that's the other thing too, is like, so if you're a leader, how are you using technology? How are you using these things to benefit humans? And how are you creating policies that are truly human centered as opposed to, the root of money as the be all end all, because at the end of the day, I want to feel joy, you know.
Give me 1 second. Hey, Lucas, mommy's working right now.
Mommy, just one candy and I'll be it, mommy.
Hey,
Please, please.
you just
That's
had a bunch of candy cane. You say hi.
Hi, you're famous. Lucas, you're famous. Wave to the
Are you
world.
curious? Say hi. He's all shy. Okay, when mommy's done with the phone, you're gonna get to play with it, okay?
This is taking for a long
This is taking for a long time. Okay, it's almost done, I promise. There's only like 15 minutes left.
No,
Okay?
did you set up the timer?
Yeah, I did. Okay?
Mommy, now for one more minute.
Okay, we got it. Not one more minute. Mommy has to work, okay? So go turn on your show. What's that on your show? Go take a look.
I want this on.
Okay, you can turn that on. Sorry.
No.
2020.
Oh, he wants to be when he grows up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking, just the challenges nowadays in the new world, right? In a sense of technology and in these other things. And it's just, if you're in a leadership role, really thinking about the world you want to create, how do you use technology, or does technology use you? Because there are two types of employers out there. There are the employers that lead through control, which is not healthy. That's where we're seeing healthcare, premiums go up, all the issues we're having today, right? When you think about, once you're an adult, you spend most of your life at work. You literally, or in San Francisco Bay Area, you're stuck in a 2-hour commute, all these different things. So you have to think about that. And companies offer perks like the bus, you get to ride the company bus in. Well, you're still working at 6, 7 in the morning. So you're actually working longer. So you have to start thinking about, is this the quality of life that you want? And then in leadership roles, what really is important, right? And I think now we're seeing, with the divorce rate going up 60%, people are stressed out beyond stress. So we have to think about these things in leadership roles of creating the right companies and the right cultures that we want. And that's, where business coaching comes in too, because you get that voice of reason next to you and saying, hey, you can still make a lot of money. And making a lot of money is not a bad thing, because you can create better social programs. You can reinvest in the communities you're working in. You can reinvest in your employees. You can, not fire employees. You can actually have training and transition programs if you're going to lose certain skills, or
it's all part of the food chain, right?
Yeah, take care of your people. Why do you have to furlough people and get rid of all your talent who love your company? If you have loyal people, retrain them. So that's my hope for the future. Working with leaders and coaching.
For sure. And I just feel like you hit the nail on the head when you said truth. I feel like truth and compassion go hand in hand. When we can lead with compassion, we allow employees and our colleagues to live their truth. And when people can start living their truth in their day-to-day life, which is their business, because they're doing it every single day, you're working more than you're basically spending time with your family, in my opinion.
In the U.S., sure. I mean, Canada, I think we're very similar culture in that way. When you look at European cultures, they were big on allowing fathers, the paternity leave, right? So having men be at home with their children. I mean, we're talking about primal bonding, primal stuff that's been around since our creation. And then we're saying we're cutting it because we want you to get back to work. And we see a lot of the issues in homes nowadays. I mean, we see support systems that just aren't there. So we have to get back to understanding, one, we're little tiny cells at the end of the day. We're little tiny cells that make up these, organs that make up this human being. And I mean, that's just stuff from a biological primal level. And then from having things that support.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
And that's life.
That's life. And I don't edit these things because I just, it has to be, I'm living my truth.
You know what? That's life. And people need to understand that too, right? I mean, it's so many people now working from home and trying to parent at home and different things. So we're changing.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like a loss of my identity because I got hit with all this truth that I had to face, right? Like from childhood trauma, and then still trying to navigate being a wife, being myself, whatever that looks like, and then being a mom, and then still trying to be an employee slash transitioning into my own business kind of thing. It's a lot. And then you add COVID. I can't see any of my friends.
Yeah.
It's a tough time. It's a tough time. And I think now is more than a better time than ever to get someone like you on board and on their side and helping them navigate through the struggles, whatever it is.
Thanks, Cathy. And, you know, I mean, people out there listening, it's seriously, just reach out, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, just reach out. I mean, worst thing you can ever do in life is to feel like you're going through life alone. And that is self-created, it's self-inflicted. And there's no reason to do that because there's so many great people out there who have lived the path, right? You know, and then if you look at primal tribal societies, right, there's some great books. There's a book that I read, you know, on the healing wisdom of Africa. And if you look at, you know, how tribes take care of people and nurture and grow people through generations and instill principles and the rite of passage is something that we lose in our Western society where, you know, a young woman becomes a woman, a young man or boy becomes, you know, a man. I can say boy because nowadays it's so politically correct. You can't say this, that about.
Yeah, for sure.
But for men, I'll say boy because, you know, you're a boy and then you become a man. So from there, you know, those things are so sacred and they still do these things in jungle communities and things like that we just don't see in our Western society.
And honestly, they're way happier still. They don't need, and let's be real, they don't have as much as what we're blessed with. And they're way happier.
There's an external locus of control and there's internal locus of control. What does that mean, right? And that's what we're talking about on this is, are you happy, you know, or how do you feel controlled, right? Do you feel controlled by external forces like social media, popularity, what your friends are doing, keeping up with the Joneses? Or do you feel like you are in charge of your destiny with the internal connection to your creator, God, whatever it is you believe in?
Right.
You know, everybody has a different thing. So be respectful of that because it's a very personal piece and it's very important on your journey, because if you're feeling like none of that exists, then it can be a very lonely, isolating, dark place. If you're feeling like you are connected with something and somebody's within you, a spirit, whatever, God, you know, those different things. And then from there, moving forward, right, in that higher path, what is the best version of yourself that you can live in?
Right.
And how can you connect with people in community? And just because, you know, we're connecting now. So technology through COVID, I say, you know, get connected. I call my friends all the time on FaceTime, you know, and they're like, this is wonderful, you know, and my good buddy's a doctor, you know, he's like, I didn't do a lot of FaceTime. Now that you FaceTime me, I love FaceTiming because it feels like we can still see each other, you know, we can still
for sure
be there. So
of course it's not the same, but you know, this is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
And alone time is good though, but I want people to understand there's a difference between feeling isolated and going down that spiral of I'm all by myself, the world's dark. That's not a healthy place. That's a place where you really need to, and I say like, there's a reset point, right? Where everybody should know if you're getting to that point, you need to call, you know, your A team, whether that's your coach, your therapist, your friends, your wife, your husband, whoever. You can't go past that point, because if you get past that point, that's a dark, shitty, deep place to go. And then the amount of work to get back out of that is like tenfold. So
and
then,
to piggyback, sorry to jump in, but to piggyback off what you're saying, I find a lot of the times when I was there in those dark places, it was way easier for me to talk to a complete stranger about how I was feeling versus talking to my A team, because my A team also has kids, also has all these things. And because I'm always the one that usually is the one that holds people up.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be the burden for anybody else. So I guess, yes, call your A team if you feel comfortable, but I feel, I mean, talking to someone like you is really beneficial because you're a little bit more educated in that aspect of helping versus if I knew someone, sometimes I don't know if I'm giving the proper advice without bias. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, but I think when you're worried about proper advice, let's look at that statement, right? What is proper advice?
Right.
As we're literally doing the best that we can.
Yep.
Everybody have the right intention. Now, there are people that don't have the right intention that aren't doing the best that they can because they know better. Now, and then there are people that, have the right skills or training and they're not doing as best as they could, right? And different things. But if you have the right intention and if you have the right intention and you want the best and you're saying, this is my lived experience. This is how I got through this. It's my truth. Now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you find some shared truths in it
Mm-hmm.
and it helps you get through the day, get through whatever you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's the right intention and sharing the truth, right? And I say life is not a prescription. You and I talked about,
No. Yep.
our society nowadays, if you're not feeling good, what do? You go to the doctor, they know you for 15 minutes, they give you a pill and that's it. And we see statistically, we see that's not working. So because people are complex, there is, the stuff from years ago, there's the stuff now, there are, spiritual things, if you believe in spirituality. And I always joke, I grew up Christian, I'm still Christian, but I joke with my friends, I say, we have a lot of people
Okay. Yeah.
don't even believe in God, in the stories and all the things that are, it's like these things, good, evil, bad, challenge, triumph, all these things have been around, whether you read Islam, the Bible, Buddhism, any
Yep.
major thing, it's been around for years and it's a story. So who are you in the story? What did that person do? How did they try to get out of it? And what are some of those things that you can do? And then taking somebody's advice, right, as best of heart. If they're saying something to you, and I always say, don't believe everything that everybody says too, because have the good people who you trust, right? And if good people are telling you, hey, I'm seeing you going down this road. This road's not working. Listen to them. If they're haters
Right.
all
Right. Right. Right.
there, don't listen to the haters because their opinions don't matter at all. But if good people are telling you, hey, here's where you're at, I think these things might help you. Check them out. And remember, it's planting the seed because what you say to somebody in a time of need, they might not be ready to actualize on it. But if you plant that seed, then they have the seed and they can water it and they can choose to grow it, how they grow it and nurture it.
Right. So cool. So cool. You made me do this thing on your website, the wheel of something and then the disc of something. Can you quickly just explain that? And then also, if anybody listening were to hire you, what that process would look like so that they kind of know and, they're not surprised.
Sounds good, Cathy. Let's talk about it. So the first step of working with me first is just a conversation, right? Is understanding, where you're at, how I can help you as a coach, and then if I can help you, right? I mean, because again, it's a personal thing. So I'm invested in your growth, and I need to know that I can actually add value where you're at. I have other coaches too that if I'm not the right fit, then I refer people to. So I really am looking out for your best interest, number one. And then from there, I use assessments that are some of the top assessments in the coaching industry. One is the DISC assessment. The DISC assessment is a way for you to understand about how you communicate because communication is number one. So understanding your communication style is key. You need to understand how you communicate because I need to understand how you communicate so you can feel heard or you can feel that you're getting the right input and all that be through the communication process, right? There's the sending, there's the receiving, there's the decoding of it and all that. So communication is really key. So when you understand how you communicate, how I communicate, great things can happen. And that's the same in business. It's the same in your relationships, communications, everything. And then the wheel of life is the baseline of where you are at right now. So you can go on my website and you can go on the coaching menu, Aversa.com coaching, and you'll see underneath, you'll see drop down with the wheel of life. You take that wheel of life and you can do it for free, whether we work together or not. Take the wheel of life because that will give you a visual representation of.
Yes, that was powerful for me. I was like, whoa, I'm pretty imbalanced in certain areas of my life. It was cool.
Thanks, Cathy. And it's cool because it's literally where your life is right now, and it's that car wheel driving down the road. So if you're out of balance, you're gonna feel bumps. You're gonna feel shitty going over potholes, right? I mean, you're just like, I'm jarred. So understand, like the Wheel of Life tool is one of the tools that I use every time when I start coaching somebody. It's
Yeah.
that line of where you're at, and then from there, throughout the coaching process, I have you take it again, because what we want to see is we want to see this wheel smooth over. We want to see it even out, because that means you start having this thing called balance that everybody always talks about, work-life balance, right? And think about the car. You want alignment.
Okay,
You
No.
want alignment
Just talking, okay?
with the wheel, so you have a nice smooth course.
Of course. Of
And then
course.
from there, on the coaching piece, we start working together once a week
Mama, this is taking
and
me.
having clear goals and making sure that you're accountable to those goals. And then from the resources, my coaching program also allows for consulting when I work with CEOs and senior leaders, because a lot of times it's helping that senior leader or CEO understand who they are, where they are, what they want, the vision, and then technical consulting, whether it's business development, sales, revenue, product, programs, different things like that, where I can come in and work on a strategic level with senior leaders. So it's a nice part where I can either do coaching alone or a coaching consulting hybrid combination.
Nice. Nice. So we're ending off soon here. What would be your biggest tip for takeaway today that people can do that will help them, I don't know, be happier?
Be happier. Understand yourself and take time to understand yourself. So many people are running to the next meeting. They're running away from the next thing. They're doing whatever. And I didn't get to finish earlier when I was talking about there's that difference of being lonely and isolated, which is not healthy. And then there is the gift of alone time where you go hiking in the woods, you go on a 3-day trip by yourself. I've traveled the world by myself. I've gone to countries, people are like, you're literally going there that has one of the highest crime rates, or has it like, I'm like, so what? I'm gonna be fine because I believe in myself. I have confidence in myself, and I'm gonna learn about the culture. I'm gonna learn about these things. So whatever it is for you to get away and to be by yourself with a journal, your camera, plug from technology, understand really who you are, because that is the foundation of having a great business, great culture, and all of these things is just getting rid of all the noise, because there's so much noise out there today.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
and a clear
Yes.
heart, clear intention.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you,
So
Kat.
for anybody who's watching, Friendship Fridays is always a time where I highlight a person or their business or together to kind of shed more light in the world where it's so dark right now. So thank you so much. I know we can talk for hours and hours like we did the other day, but I'm going to tag Drew in this video so that you guys can reach out to him and do the Wheel of Life. That was super game changer for me. So thank you again for joining me, Drew, and we'll chat soon. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day.
Make it a great day.
Yes, for sure. Bye.